Honey, what do you think about the trip Maximus is going to take on June 19th? The dean asked Common. I think it's a great opportunity for him, responded Common. He gets to step outside his comfort zone. I know Jadric very well, and I'm most certain he'll take care of him. Throughout the month of April, Hagen has been working closely with Maximus as he was reading his book and preparing his book report that he has to deliver in May. On the day of his book report presentation, Maximus felt a bit ill, but for a real reason this time. His presentations up to this point have all been group presentations. This was the first presentation he had to do all alone. Maximus, I'm certain you'll do great, whispered Hagen as he was sitting next to Maximus in class. Do you need to use the restroom? No, responded Maximus. Oh, well, your legs are shaking like crazy. Relax. You'll do fine. Okay, next up, we have Maximus, said Maximus's fourth grade teacher, Mr. Magnar, who sat in the middle back of the classroom in full view of the presenters. An aisle parted down the middle from 3 rows of 5 desks on both sides. Maximus grasped his chair with his shaky palms, lifting himself up as if he were performing a tricep dip, extended his shaky legs to arrive at a standing position, grasping the poster within his trembling hands that he had created as a visual aid for his book report. He placed the poster on the easel to hold it up while he presents, and turned around. The poster floated and flopped to the ground. A fraction of the class giggled a bit. No problem, Maximus. Your time won't start until you begin speaking, said Mr. Magnar. Maximus nodded in understanding, turned and kneeled down to pick up his poster and place it back on the easel, this time ensuring that it stays. He turned back around to face his 30 classmates and his teacher. In the audience, he looked at Hagen, who was smiling, giving Maximus a thumbs up. My book was about a boy who grew up feeling as if he was not enough. I learned that in the life we face obstacles, but is how we deal with it with those obstacles that defines who we are. Maximus, relieved that his presentation was over, made his way back to his seat. Although he didn't communicate everything he wanted to communicate, he felt as if he did the very best that he could. Thank you, Maximus, said Mr. Magnar, taking a couple of minutes to make marks on his rubric. Class, any comments? A student in the middle of the audience raised her hand. I was very pleased with your presentation, Maximus. I was inspired by you getting up there, even though you know that you stuttered. I feel much more inspired to give my book report presentation, said Nora. Okay, go ahead, Ian, said Mr. Magnar as Ian raised his hand. I thought you did well. You covered the main points of your book, made me interested in reading the book. I also felt inspired by your commitment to get up there, even though you have a stutter, said Ian. I have to say, I'm proud to call him my best friend. He showed great courage, said Hagen. I agree with you, class, said Mr. Magnar. Maximus displayed tremendous courage up there. I thought you did a great job. I can tell you spent a lot of time preparing your presentation, and you created a great visual aid. It was a pleasure hearing about the book that you had read last month. Great job. See, I told you that you can do it, Maximus, said Hagen as they were walking towards their school bus. It was still bad. Did you hear the feedback you received? The class really appreciated you and your courage. You really inspired people. Deep down, Maximus began to have a shift in his perspective, but he couldn't quite yet pinpoint what it was. Weeks passed, and another school year came to a close. A knock was heard at Maximus's front door.